Hey guys, this is Tommy here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today right now we are starting off with Phase 9 of TMCU, which is the final phase within the Mutant Saga. So anyway guys, let's start off with Phase 9 of TMCU. So the first project in Phase 9 is titled Chapter 1, Spider-Man Symbiote of Darkness, or just simply Spider-Man Symbiote of Darkness. Okay, now in this project we start off with Martin Lee, who's the CEO of Feast. He is an alternate personality known as Mr. Negative and is trying to wipe out many criminal families as he can by using the Devil's Breath. He is opposed by Tombstone and Luke Cage, who both force him to escape. Peter continues to start off with his new life, as he's now accepted as a hero in New York City, and despite him with his identity being revealed to the entire world. Now Peter runs his own company known as Parker Industries alongside his college friends Johnny Storm, Iceman, and Firestorm. He's also being supported by his allies and close friends, with Oscorp now gone due to Harriet Osborn's death after graduating college and leaving the Daily Bugle as well. Parker Industries cooperates with Feast as Peter meets Martin Lee, and we learn that Aunt May used to work at Feast, but despite Peter and Martin starting to get along, Peter finds mysterious symbiote there as it starts to take over his body, and he then leaves. Meanwhile, Miles Morales convinces Peter to participate in an underground boxing match, which is hosted by Tombstone and Luke Cage, as the two are worried about Peter since he's now started his own career. And they explain to him the events of the Defenders TV show, which leaves Peter shocked, as he also learns of Janice Lincoln and Randy Robertson getting married as well. Peter fights El Muerto, and after the fight, the two begin to get along as we learn of El Muerto's origin. He comes from an ancient family lineage of El Muertos, who are boxers and wrestlers who wear mystical masks that give the wearer powers, as he was also trained by his father, Marcus Estrada, who was killed by El Dorado after refusing to fight him as a part of a ritual, although El Muerto did defeat him. Peter returns to the Daily Bugle as his fight with El Muerto goes viral, and he meets a young journalist named Eddie Brock. However, he goes crazy and unleashes venom, which leaves everyone at the Daily Bugle shocked. We then learn that there are multiple symbiotes spreading throughout the world for unknown reasons, while Cleese Cassidy is a serial killer who dealt with abuse during his childhood. He is now in San Quentin prison in California, but he escapes along with his lover Shrek after becoming the symbiote known as Carnage. Deadpool is also infected and becomes a symbiote Venom Pool before interrupting the conversation between Spider-Man and Venom, as the three all have symbiotes within them, and now Eddie Brock has turned into Venom thanks to Peter, before the trio then confront Mr. Negative, as we learn that he is hiding lots of symbiotes and use them to take control of the criminal underworld. However, everyone must team up when Scorpion arrives, as he's also infected with the Venom symbiote as well. This forces Mr. Negative to kill him and turn Eddie Brock into Anti-Venom. After Deadpool leaves, Spider-Man and Venom get into a fight, although it turns out Carnage has taken control of another Venom symbiote and is using Flash Thompson as a symbiote hunting mercenary known as Agent Venom. This forced the two to team up before defeating Agent Venom and ultimately confronting Carnage, who is revealed to be working with Mr. Negative as a part of a plan to unleash a large horde of symbiotes all over the world. This is so far working out, but after having deal with Mr. Negative and Agent Venom, Spider-Man and Venom escape and are motivated by Deadpool to continue the fight. The big final battle happens as Spider-Man, Venom, Deadpool, and all their allies fight Carnage and his forces, and something shocking happens as Jefferson Davis is killed by Mr. Negative and his Inner Demons army, which is a big turning point in the fight as Venom eats Carnage and Cleese Cassidy, while Peter successfully defeats Mr. Negative and the Inner Demons army with the Devil Breath, which is then destroyed by the end. Peter and Wade no longer have the symbiotes, as Eddie Brock and the now redeemed Agent Venom move to San Francisco and search for all the symbiotes so that they can be handed over to the U.S. government, while Peter proposes to Mary Jane as he gives up being Spider-Man and passes on the mantle to Miles Morales and promises to train him if he needs it. So this right here is the full cast for the film. Now, in the mid-credit scene, Jefferson Davis's death is reported on the Daily Bugle, and as Miles is watching him, he puts on his new Spider-Man suit and swings around the city. Now, in the post-credit scene, it is revealed that Noel was the true mastermind of the symbiote spreading all over Earth, as he has been manipulating Carnage into fighting Spider-Man and Venom, and now plans on invading Earth with a large army of symbiotes. Quick recap, but this is the full death list for the entire film. Now, the second project is titled The Annihilators. This is a TV show, of course. Now, by the way, guys, this is not the full lineup of the team, but here are the main members. So, in episode 1, the Watcher and Cosmo, the Space Dog, form the Annihilators team as a successor to the Infinity Watch team. They want to prevent further galactic conflicts in the future, and also, in honor of Star-Lord and his dream of true galactic Guardians who are way more powerful than the Guardians of the Galaxy themselves. The Watcher and Cosmo meet with Quasar, Nova, and Gladiator on Sandar, very bad shape and condition, and the Nova Corps now led by Nova. Unfortunately, the Nova Corps, who are the main government of Sandar, obviously can't really make things that peaceful ever since Thanos' snap. However, Quasar, Nova, and Gladiator, who are still dealing with all the craziness on Sandar right now, decide to join the team anyway. Beta Ray Bill is now on his own in the galaxy, and despite being headed on, returning to Sakaar with his people, he joins the Annihilators along with the Silver Surfer, who's trying to reconnect with the Life-Bringing Galactus and reform their relationship. Their main base of operations is on Nowhere, where they meet Drax, Nebula, and all the residents there, including a special reunion with the Guardians as well. Econ the Space Knight arrives and warns the Annihilators of the potential destruction of her home planet by an evil monstrous race known as the Dire Wraiths. So in episode 2, the Annihilators then join forces with Econ as they go on a crazy mission to save Galador from the Dire Wraiths. They have returned after having been defeated by the Galadorians centuries ago. The Prime Director sends Lord Domino and the Space Knight's army to attack the Dire Wraiths, although the Annihilators realize this conflict cannot escalate anymore, or else it will end up getting even worse. A disturbance is detected in the Dark Nebula as the team and their allies soon face a crisis involving the king of the Dire Wraiths, Dr. Dread, who has created a cutting edge around him that can even slice the Silver Surfer himself. The Annihilators find that the dreaded Black Sun has been removed from his cloak in the Dark Nebula and has unleashed its light on Galador as well. They prevent the Black Sun from going supernova and merge it with Galador's sun, which allows the Galadorians and Dire Wraiths to live in cosmic harmony rather than existing in a ceaseless war. Econ, the Space Knight, joins the Annihilators team, and they all celebrate the peace treaty between Wraithworld and Galador. So in episode 3, we are introduced to the Universal Church of Truth, a religious empire composed of many diverse alien species from all across the universe as they worship Magus, who they seek to resurrect by using Adam Warlock's corpse in order to bring true peace to the universe, by ending all suffering and convert everyone in the entire universe to their religious beliefs. They worship the one above all as well. But despite this, the Annihilators learn about their existence after Life-Bringing Galactus warns them that they have already destroyed many planets throughout the universe, as they would at first show up, introduce themselves, and offer peace and harmony through faith, and if accepted, the church would peacefully take over, or else they would forcefully subjugate the population or exterminate anyone who refuses to convert. When learning that the church had found Adam Warlock's corpse, the Annihilators, who are joined by Life-Bringing Galactus and supported by the cosmic entities, go after them and successfully prevent the church by resurrecting Magus and resurrected Magus, as the Annihilators burn Adam Warlock's corpse, although the Universal Church of Truth are still out there and want their revenge. Now in episode 4, Magus has not been resurrected as planned, although the UCT, Universal Church of Truth, obviously, are still after the Annihilators and their allies. We learn more about how they want peace and no suffering. Basically, they can do this to the Phoenix Force, a very powerful cosmic entity who has been believed as the creator of the universe and the flame that will ultimately consume it if need be. The entity is also capable of manipulating matter and energy throughout the entire universe, and once its full potential is reached, the entity can destroy the entire universe, or even enter other universes as well. Despite this, the Annihilators and their allies fight the Universal Church of Truth, as they want to prevent them from taking control of the Phoenix Force, because if they do, the being could cause havoc and chaos instead of peace and prosperity as promised. The Church is defeated, but not completely, due to their extreme diversity. The Guardians, however, kill Cardinal Raker and many other warriors and members of the Church as they start to investigate more of the Phoenix Force. So in episode 5 opens up with with a planet and its sun destroyed by the Phoenix Force in a distant galaxy. In the present day, the Annihilars are more curious than ever with the Phoenix Force and its true power. They are confronted by Vuk, the leader of the Dabari, a shape-shifting alien race of extraterrestrials who were once a part of the Shi'ar Empire as they went near extinct when the Phoenix Force absorbed their sun and destroyed their planet, which is obviously shown in the opening scene of this episode. She and the Dabari want to capture and control the Phoenix Force and then use it in order to transform planet Earth into a new world for themselves, and eventually conquer. The Annihilars believe that the Dabari could cause the destruction of the entire universe, and after a brief fight with them, they vow to exterminate the race altogether for good, with help from the Shi'ar Empire, who have betrayed the Dabari after their home planet's destruction, as they worship the Phoenix Force and believe that the entity is prophesied to bring true peace to the universe. So in episode 6, the Annihilars join forces with the Shi'ar Empire as they continue their conflict with the Dabari. They escape a death trap set up by them before the Shi'ar are then greeted by Professor X, who is still revealed to be alive after the events of X-Men Rise of the Mutants. They discover the Mcron Crystal, a powerful object that allows its users to time travel and enter other universes as well. They prepare to use it against the Dabari, and through the crystal, the Annihilars learn of Life-Bring Galactus' true power and importance to the universe, as he is considered to be an anchor entity, also known as an anchor being, meaning that if he dies, then the universe slowly starts to fade away from existence. The Starjammers arrive and decide to help out after learning from multiple galactic civilizations of what happened to the Dabari's home planet. So in episode 7, the Celestials and cosmic entities call for a meeting with the Watcher, Cosmo, and Life-Bring Galactus as they discuss more of the Mcron Crystal and defeating the Dabari, which connects to the Phoenix Force, as the entity never created the universe in the first place, and it was the Celestials who created the entity to bring peace and prosperity to the universe, and manipulate both matter and energy across the known universe. Meanwhile, the Annihilars and the Shi'ar Empire get into one last showdown with the Dabari, and although they successfully wipe out the race, the Shi'ar part ways with the Annihilars for unknown reasons. Although it turns out that they are planning on destroying the Phoenix Forces, they believe they will only do more harm than good to the universe. So, in the finale, the Annihilars recruit many new allies and enemies as well across the universe after learning the Shi'ar Empire's new goals. This includes the Starjammers, Blastar and his forces in the Negative Zone, obviously referring to the Annihilation Wave, and also the Universal Church of Truth. Everyone teams up against the Shi'ar Empire and try to prevent them from destroying the Phoenix Force, in which it succeeded. In the end, the Shi'ar luckily fail at defeating the Phoenix Force as the Annihilars part ways with their allies, while Richard Rider leaves the team and moves to Earth with his mentee, Sam Alexander, who wants to become the next Nova. The team stays active and vow to help Sandar recover from Thanos' attack and the Snap as well. So this is the full cast of the film, and yeah. Full cast, as you guys can see right here. Might be pretty long, but yeah, I believe that should be it. In the mid-credit scene, Professor X reads Empress Lilandra's mind as he learns that the Shi'ar Empire are about to invade Earth for unknown reasons. And then in the post-credit scene, the Watcher watches as the Phoenix Force fixes the Mcron Crystal, which proves and confirms that the Phoenix Force is all pure and good. And also, guys, this is the full death list for the show. Now, the third project in Phase 9 is titled Blade of the Vampire Nation. So in this project, we open up in northern Ukraine as scientists discover how to interbreed mutants and vampires with hopes to create a new hybrid species in the future. Now around this area, there's a secret country called Vampirisk that consists of vampires only. A mutant vampire mixed race known as Reapers. They can live up to 250 years. They live there as well and create the Daystar virus with the intent of killing both humans and vampires. Now meanwhile, Blade goes to New Orleans while continuing to hunt down vampires who can actually live for 300 years, and after an argument with the local vampire cult there, he slaughters all of them to death with help from the Blood Shadows, a group of vampires who were formed during the Great Depression under their master Jonas Gray, who also trained Jamal Afari until his death. The Blood Shadows also reveal to Blade that the vampire cult worships the first ever vampire, Varney, aka the blood god Lamagra. It all started off with a group of Chthon worshippers known as the Darkholders, as they used the Darkhold 18,500 BC with the intent to create an army of demons, but instead they created Varney, and over time, Varney's descendants grew in number, which created the vampire race. As the latter got tired of his immortality, and before taking his own life, he chose Dracula to become his successor and turn him into a vampire. He told him to pass on his legacy and make a vampire nation for all vampires, to become the most powerful species on Earth and wipe out all of humanity for good. However, despite the shocking revelation, Blade begins searching for Dracula and even reforms the Night Stalkers before he and the team go to Ukraine and confront vampire priest Draconis, who is Dracula's adopted son, who is raised to kill Blade. After a horrifying fight with him, Blade is seemingly arrested by the Ukrainian government. Now we are also introduced to two new recruits, John Carrick, a Scottish archaeologist who believes it is his destiny to defeat Dracula after learning of his existence in East Africa, and Noah Tremaine, Rachel Van Helsing's vampire boyfriend, who wants to defeat Dracula in order to avenge Abraham Van Helsing's death. Now, Blade and his team, meanwhile, are then taken to the MI6 after their quote-unquote arrest, as they supply the group weapons in hopes of defeating Dracula and his forces. In Vampirus, the conflict between vampires and humans escalates even further as the House of Erebus, the main government of Vampirus, and also named after Erebus the vampire Holy Book, try to overthrow Dracula, although he sends his best warriors, the Blood Pack, to kill them, which allows Dracula to become a full-on dictator in the nation, as we then learn that Dracula has fought Blade in the past and defeated him, which causes memory loss in the first place. Blade and his allies finally confront Dracula and his forces, as a big fight ensues before Dracula kills John Carrick, Noah Tremaine, the Blood Shadows, and George Shelm, which leaves Blade and the Night Stalkers haunted as Dracula escapes and kidnaps Rachel, with her being turned evil by Mephisto, who is working with Dracula. After the Reapers betray Dracula and his forces, they plan on killing both humans and vampires, as the big fight starts in Stravamore, the capital of Vampirus, until Blade, Frank, Dane, and Brielle arrive and kill many of Dracula's forces, including his son Zaris, East African vampire Solomon Negus, and many more as well. However, the leaders, led by Jared Nomak, attempt to destroy Vampirus. The Daystar arrow is the key to the Daystar virus, as it infects someone with it, and Nomak seeks revenge on his father, while Nysa, seeing how her father holds no regard for his own offspring, betrays him by stealing off their escape route, and Nomak kills his father after failing to negotiate with him before he then infects Nysa with the Daystar virus. This kills her, and Jared then fights Blade, but ends up getting stabbed through the heart, which kills him. However, though, Blade kills Rachel and then fights Dracula and his forces, but when the Daystar virus is spread throughout the nation, destroys the Daystar arrow, which puts an end to the virus and kills all the Reapers before Blade distracts Dracula and kills him. In the end, Blade escapes with his allies as Vampirus is left in ruins and an uncertain future before Blade realizes that he's the future of the vampire race, and he and his allies then saw a vampire called the Structure in London. Alright, now here's the full cast for the film. So in the mid-credit scene, the Ukrainian government illegally occupies Vampirus while the surviving vampires form a cult in order to combat the humans. In the post-credit scene, Blade searches for members to join the Midnight Suns, as he is unaware that Lilith is spying on him. And lastly, guys, this right here is the full death list for the film. Now, the fourth project is titled X-Men, Deadpool, and the X-Force. Now, the project takes place 3 years after the events of the first Deadpool film, as Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool, is now known worldwide and hired by many countries and government organizations in order to defeat many criminals and terrorists all over the world. Now his main target is in Russia, a gangster named Sergei Valencianov, who later gets killed by Wade. However, Wade then returns home to his fiancée, Vanessa, and gives her a skee ball token to celebrate their anniversary, as the two decide to make a baby. The next day, Wade wakes up drunk, and after learning that Vanessa is pregnant, he leaves her and becomes extremely depressed throughout the next 5 years, but after many attempts at ending himself, he can't die due to his immortality, although Colossus finds him after contacting Blind Out, as Colossus, Yukio, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead train Deadpool to become an official X-Men member, with them also interacting with the main team as well, now led by Cyclops. Deadpool and the trio head to New York City after hearing of an incident with an angry and mentally unstable mutant named Russell Collins, aka Firefist, who's trying to blow up an orphanage named the Essex House for Mutant Rehabilitation. And anyway, though, it is run by the Essex Corporation. However, Deadpool tries to help out, although he's attacked by Firefist, and then learns that the headmaster and the staff there are abusing Firefist and all the children there, which leads to Deadpool killing a few of the staff there before he and Fist are arrested as Colossus, Yukio, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead then escape. Deadpool and Fire Fist end up at the Icebox, which is a maximum security prison located in Canada, Northwest Territories, that's housed for only dangerous and evil mutants. Now, it is owned by the evil headmaster. Anyway, Deadpool and Fire Fist are forced to wear a collar that takes away their powers, which means Deadpool's cancer is back, sadly. In the year of 2072, distant future, obviously, Cable watches as his daughter Hope and wife Aaliyah are killed by an older version of Fire Fist, who in this alternate post-apocalyptic future has become a fugitive and deadly mutant killer after killing the headmaster. However, though, Cable joins forces with his friend Lucas Bishop and his sister Shard, who are trying to survive in a future ruled by an unnamed and very powerful mutant known only as him. Yes, Cable has failed to defeat Fire Fist. Anyway, though, the trio use a time travel device in order to head to the present day. However, though Kitty Pryde and her dragon Lockheed are spying on them under orders from Yukio, who can see the future and predict the person's death as well. Cable, Lucas, and Shard attack the icebox, which forces Deadpool to make sure that the prisoners escape to safety, although he defends Fire Fist from Cable, which leads to a fight as the former leaves to rescue everyone in the prison, although some prisoners such as Mondo, Mutant Assassin Wire, and Arcade are killed before Deadpool learns from the trio, who he fought of course, and that in his timeline, Fire Fist became a criminal and dangerous mutant after escaping prison and killing the headmaster. This led to a dark and gruesome future. Deadpool realizes he must prevent this from happening while the icebox is completely destroyed by Fire Fist. After deciding to team up with Cable, Lucas, Shard, and Weasel, Deadpool tries to recruit many heroes to join his new X-Force team, which later consists of Sidekick Bob, Domino, Vanisher, Bedlam, Shatterstar, Sugar Bear, and Zyges. All of them, however, are killed in their first mission, although Bob and Domino survive. Now, of course, obviously, they were going to destroy the plane that was carrying the Icebox prisoners, but that didn't really work out. Now, Fire Fist rescues Juggernaut, and they team up in order to kill the Headmaster once and for all. Now, after Mr. Sinister's defeat, now we learn a lot about Mr. Sinister as well, as he was the owner of the Essex Corps that he used for his goals to create the perfect mutant new men race. However, after his defeat, he gave ownership to the headmaster, and now he's using all the kids as slaves and torturing, abusing, and experimenting on them. Now, Cable, Lucas, Shard betrayed Deadpool after revealing that they are planning to kill Russell, even though Deadpool and Kitty Pryde are against it. Domino, who was raised in the Essex house, and Sidekick Bob side with Cable as Deadpool and his allies fight them, but they must work together when Fire Fist and Juggernaut arrive, as Colossus and Deadpool kill Juggernaut, and Cable is then taken back to 2072, where he forms a six-pack team as they fight and later defeat Cable's evil clone Strife. Deadpool, meanwhile, reconciles with Vanessa, who forgives him for leaving as she becomes a superhero copycat. Anyway, Deadpool and Cable reluctantly join forces with all their allies taking on Fire Fist, Legion, and all of the mutant children at the orphanage. Yukio shows Fire Fist what happens in the future if he kills the headmaster, as he destroys most of humanity and mutant kind, which leads to the rise of quote-unquote him. Fire Fist has an emotional breakdown, with him and the children surrender, and as headmaster, all the remaining staff of the orphanage are arrested, as Fire Fist and the children burn the orphanage and remake it as a safe home for themselves. A new timeline is created as Siren, Yukio, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Kitty Pryde, Lockheed, and Domino join the X-Men as Colossus, Omega Red head to Russia, while in the future, Cable's living happily with his family and friends and makes peace with Fire Fist and Legion. Now, meanwhile, Deadpool reunites with the Alpha Flight at a bar and also meets Wolverine after a celebration with all of his friends. This right here, guys, is the full cast for the film. In the mid-credit scene, the headmaster is put in the same prison cell as Boulevard Trask after they talk about their experience with muties, which is also considered to be a very offensive and racial slur directed towards mutants. The two decide to escape and declare war against mutant kind, as they still believe that there is still a chance to do so. In the post-credit scene, the plane carrying all the remaining Icebox prisoners arrives safely in Russia, although it is destroyed by Colossus' long-lost brother Mikhail Rasputin, as everybody inside the plane are all killed. And by the way, guys, this is the full death list. The fifth project is titled Moon Knight Season 2. Sneak peek of the overall show, and yeah. Episode 1 kicks off a few years after the events of the first season, as Mark Spector is no longer Moon Knight despite lots of crime on the streets increase, although he still hesitates on whether to be Moon Knight or not, even without Khonshu's powers. Now, meanwhile, Khonshu still has Jake Lockley as his fist of vengeance, with him now committing crimes, which has now made him as a wanted criminal, now on the radar of the UN and the Egyptian government as well. This causes concern to Stephen Grant, who is still Mr. Knight in London, as he returns to New York City and successfully convinces Mark to become Moon Knight again as a normal hero and not as Khonshu's avatar, despite him being less powerful without Khonshu's powers. However, Mark and Steven have new comic-accurate suits as well. As amidst this, Mark and Steven team up and call themselves the Midnight Mission, as they fight and later defeat a cult of vampires in New York City with some help from Frenchie. Now, a rogue cop named Carson Nolas is suspicious and extra cautious of the trio. By the way, guys, Layla, who is still Tawet's avatar, and the UN ambassador to Egypt, and the Scarlet Scarab as well. She's protecting the country and alerts the UN of Jake Lockley's crimes, as she believes that there's a much bigger plot that's connected to these crimes that are being committed by Jake Lockley. So in episode 2, with Jake now as Khonshu's avatar, he's trying to fulfill his goal, which is to kill all evil people on Earth, or people who could become evil in the future, as he believes that this is the only way to protect humanity by using his avatars to do so. This ultimately leads to a manhunt for not only Jake, but also for Mark and Steven as well. The latter two head to Egypt in order to confront Jake, although when they are on the brink of death, Layla arrives and rescues the two, as they are now forced on the run despite Jake being the bad guy and not Mark and Steven. However, the public has now turned against them, as Randall Spector, who's Mark's brother, obviously is revealed to still be alive and survived being drowned. Khonshu had sort of saved him and turned him into the Shadow Knight, with Randall now starting his own cult in honor of Khonshu, as they are confronted by Mark, Steven, and Layla. However, though, once the fight ends, Tiger arrives as she expresses her concerns for the trio. So this episode is sort of long, as Jake continues his criminal activity, and he is later confronted and interrogated by Tawet, who's now leading the Net Council. So obviously they want information on Khonshu and his goals. Tigra joins the trio on their adventures, as they are also supported by Frenchie, who was sent by Layla in order to help her with her revenge mission against Raoul Bushman to avenge her father's death, as the five decides to form the Egyptian Avengers despite being on the run. Anyway, we also learn more about Raoul Bushman, as he has taken over and reformed the disciples of Ahmet, and is also working with Jeffrey Wright, aka Jeffrey Wild, aka Midnight, with them planning on killing Moon Knight and his allies for good, despite the fact that he killed Dr. Peter Peter and Abdallah it was Raoul Bushman, obviously. Anyway, though, Layla are still hunting him down in order to avenge both of their deaths. Anyway, the Egyptian Avengers realize they have to confront Jake and try to convince him to stop killing innocent people and betray Khonshu, who is with Jake, as the both of them are now again confronted by the Net Council. Anyway, the team and the Net Council threaten Jake and Khonshu in a very dark and gruesome way, with Khonshu having his own definition of evil, while the Net Council want to defeat Khonshu and help humanity instead of judging or even killing humans, although another fight starts in the Shadow Knight and his cult arrive in order to protect Khonshu and Jake from Moon Knight and his allies. Everything changes, however, when Mark discovers that the Shadow Knight is indeed his very own brother, Randall. Now, in the past, Randall formed the cult of Khonshu, while also working with Khonshu to monitor Mark and what he is up to, as he's been watching Mark under Khonshu's orders for his entire life, since Khonshu has been manipulating slash influencing events in Mark's life in order to use him as an avatar in the future to achieve his own goals. And amidst this, Jake Lockley grew up as a bad person, with him murdering Wendy and Ellie Spector, who are Mark's parents, obviously out of anger, by taking control of Mark's body due to him feeling like an outsider. Anyway, with Mark and Steven now renouncing Khonshu, the latter has now chosen Jake as his avatar, while Layla and Frenchie team up on their own mission as they confront Raoul Bushman and Jeffrey Wild before leaving after their temporary defeat. Carson Noles and his friend Robert Markham arrive in Egypt, while Mark, Steven, and Tiger are dealing with Randall and his men, but Mark and Steven work together in order to defeat Carson and Robert, which is then succeeded. However, even though they are both fugitives, they continue to personally bond and have a very close relationship, as they work with Tiger in order to find Layla and Frenchie after a brief fight with the cult of Khonshu. So in this episode, Khonshu and Jake are now imprisoned by Tawa and the Net Council, with them planning on killing the duo for good, while Layla and Frenchie continuously hunt down Wall Bushman, and after another fight, Mark arrives along with Steven and Tigra as they try to convince Layla not to kill Raw since it could lead her to a very dark path. Layla doesn't care, however, the Randall and his men realize they have to take down Moon Knight and his allies for good and confront the Undead Council. Meanwhile, the Egyptian Avengers fight Raw Bushman and his men, with Mark making the final decision to let a grieving and emotional Layla kill Raw, although Layla does not become evil, as Raw and all of his men are finally defeated. Randall resurrects Carson and Robert in order to defeat Moon Knight and his allies once and for all, as Steven overhears a conversation that Tiger is having on the phone with Wonder Man, which reveals that she's a spy sent by the West Coast Avengers in order to make sure that Mark and Steven are not doing anything bad. In this episode, Todd Wendy and Ned Council are revealed to have kept the staff of Ahmed, which is a very powerful cane that we saw in Season 1, obviously that judges people and determines whether they are evil or not, or if they will become evil in the future. Now, anyway, though Contra wants to use it to achieve his own goals. Steven reveals that Tiger is a spy, as she is then seen as a traitor, and later orders her to be arrested by the Egyptian government. Mark, Steven, Layla, and Frenchie plan on confronting the bad guys once and for all, as the four of them team up with the Ned Council, as Randall and his men arrive, and a big fight ensues with Mark killing his brother Randall and the rest of his men, with help from Steven, Layla, and Frenchie, of course. Mark and Steven also try to convince Jake to betray Contra, but it doesn't work. The Egyptian Avengers defeat Jake, and the Ned Council then use the staff of Ahmed to defeat Contra once and for all, as the latter disintegrates into pieces. In the end, Jake is taken to a mental hospital, even though he vows revenge on the Egyptian Avengers due to Contra's death. Layla parts ways with everyone, as she is now Egypt's only superhero protector, and she must protect Egypt no matter what. Steven decides to stay in New York City with Mark and Frenchie as they reunite with Bertrand Crawley and Gina Landers. The trio are fully embracing their superhero identities are no longer fugitives or in danger anymore. In the end, the Ned Council are met by Mr. Sinister in Egypt, but then plan on working together in the future for unknown reasons. And by the way, guys, this is the full cast. In the mid-credits scene, Jake Lockley kills some of the staff at the mental hospital that he's currently located at and escapes as he becomes the Shadow Knight. In the post-credits scene, Werewolf by Night hears about what happened with Moon Knight on the news and decides to hunt him down. And this is the full death list. Now, the sixth project in TMCU Phase 9 is titled Winter Guard. So the project takes place after the Thunderbolts had disbanded at the end of Avengers Annihilation. The Red Guardian is now living peacefully, well, not the Red Guardian, sorry, Alexei Shostakov is now living peacefully in Russia. He is no longer the Red Guardian, although his daughter Yelena is trying to help out the former Black Widows with their new lives, as she has been busy fighting crime, in Russia. Now, meanwhile, Colossus and Omega Red arrive in Russia as they investigate the attack on the plane that was carrying all the prisoners from X-Men, Deadpool, and the X-Force, and they confront the man behind it, who is Colossus's long-lost brother, Mikhail Rasputin. Colossus and Omega Red confront the Russian government for info after briefly fighting Mikhail, although the Russians don't know much, but they are happy over the Icebox's destruction and the death of Sergei Valenchenkov, who they've been after for a long time. Anyway, after getting attacked by the Red Widow, a deadly Russian assassin with past connections to the Red Room, Yelena successfully convinces her father Alexei to get out of retirement again. Should have said that, but whatever. In here, obviously, to become the Red Guardian again, as she then forms the Winter Guard team before realizing that the Russian government are hunting down the final remnants of the Red Room in order to kick off a new era for Russia, with the ultimate goal of reforming the Russian Federation into the Soviet Union. The Winter Guard then realizes they have more enemies to deal with, such as Firefox, Steel Guard, and Radioactive Man, while the main threat is the Presence. He is the father of Winter Guard members Dark Star and Vanguard, and is also a high-ranking Soviet scientist who seeks political power for himself, with him forming Department X, which is a government organization. Also, Russia's version of Damage Control that was formed to hunt down former Black Widows and mutants in Russia, which is also his own version of the team. Basically, Department X is the President's own version of the Winter Guard team. Anyway, though, the Winter Guard learned that the former Black Widows, including Saga, an American who fled to Israel, are being held hostage by Dr. Lyudmila Kudrin, the former head scientist of the Red Room. However, they are rescued and the Red Room is then defeated after being revealed as a clone of Natasha Romanoff, as we then learn more about the Red Room's backstory. It was created by the Soviet Union under the orders of Joseph Stalin in order to brainwash and train young girls into becoming deadly assassins so that they can be used to defend the nation from invaders and enemies. The President, meanwhile, tries to overthrow Russian President Dmitry Vladimir as the Winter Guard join forces with the former Black Widows in order to save the President, as they also have to deal with Department X, including Mikhail Rasputin and Power Surge, who redeem themselves in order to help the good guys out. Major sacrifices occur, such as the Red Guardian, Dark Star, Radioactive Man, and Crimson Dynamo 2, who's inspired by the late Anton Vanko, as all four of them are killed during the final battle or sacrifice themselves. Anyway, with the final remnants of the Red Room, the bad guy version of it finally defeated for good. In the end, the bad guys are defeated as the new Winter Guard team is formed by Vladimir, who has now been saved as the Winter Guard team. This new Winter Guard team is vowed to defend Russia at all costs and consists of Ursa Major, Vanguard, Perun, Chernobog, and Cybercat. Yelena is now living peacefully with the remaining Black Widows in Ohio, while Colossus, Omega Red, and a now redeemed Mikhail Rasputin return to New York. And by the way, guys, this is the full cast right here for Winter Guard. In the mid-credit scene, Colossus, Omega Red, and Mikhail Rasputin are unexpectedly attacked by the Fantastic Four. Now, in the post-credit scene, Yelena and the Black Widows have a funeral for the Red Guardian following his death. And also, guys, this is the full death list for the film. Now, the 7th project in Phase 9 is titled The Sensational She-Hulk. A quick overview of what the show is going to look like, as it is mainly set in Los Angeles, California. So following the events of World War Hulk, Jennifer Walters is still She-Hulk, as she's now decided to stay in LA, California permanently in order to continue her law career within the Superhuman Law Division as a part of the company she works at, the lawyer company. She gets involved with a case that includes the American Purity Foundation in their attempt to kidnap famous Hollywood superhero Louise Mason, aka the Blonde Phantom. However, one man gets involved who is friends with Blonde Phantom, and with help from She-Hulk, the American Purity Foundation is defeated, and Louise Mason is saved from kidnapping and attempted death. A few days later, She-Hulk gets involved in another case, but she's attacked by Titania, a superpowered social media influencer who uses her super strength powers to burst into the courtroom before being defeated by She-Hulk. Anyway, following Titania's defeat, She-Hulk goes on many dates and gets the dating app matched in order to find a boyfriend for herself and also entertain herself. Now, Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination, has now left Carmitage and living peacefully in Los Angeles as he runs a self-healing support group called Abomination with many former superhuman villains and many enhanced villains who are trying to redeem themselves. Anyway, though she's then approached by the FBI for a question after Titania's attack, although basically Abomination, they had nothing to do with it. Anyway, She-Hulk and her friends are attacked by the Wrecking Crew, a group of friends who have magical powers after attacking an Asgardian construction worker. However, they escape after taking some of She-Hulk's blood, while She-Hulk meets with Abomination at his retreat, which is Summer Twilights. So She-Hulk represents a court case that involves Megan Thee Stallion, as she's suing shape-shifting Light Elf Runa, who's now living peacefully in New Asgard. Yeah, this happens in episode 3. Anyway, the Runa was impersonating Megan Thee Stallion, but things get worse and Runa impersonates one of the judges, which then leads to her getting arrested. Meanwhile, She-Hulk works with Abomination, although they are approached by Doctor Strange, with him questioning Abomination on why he suddenly left Carmitage, although he doesn't want to be there anymore for many reasons. But She-Hulk gets more confused, and Strange later reveals that there are many Ghost Riders causing chaos throughout Los Angeles. She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, and the Abomination confront the Spirits of Vengeance team, as they have been accused by many news outlets of causing chaos throughout the city. However, Strange doesn't believe that they are heroes, so a fight ensues. Later on, Robbie Reyes explains to Strange that his former apprentice, Donnie Blaze, became a bad guy, and thanks to the demonic goblins, the Mystic Castle was destroyed, which leaves Strange in shock. Everyone teams up as they confront the 5th Street Locos gang, a street gang who are trying to kill all Ghost Riders throughout California. However, they are later defeated. After parting ways with everyone, She-Hulk learns from her parents and cousin Ched, that Titania has been released from prison after a campaign to get her out went viral online. Now, Titania starts her own company called Titania Worldwide with help from her best friend Volcana, who is also a lawyer as well. The two gain a lot of popularity as this is Titania's dream after being bullied for her mutant abilities of super strength. She's sort of a mutant, but it's complicated. This all happens after Titania gets out of prison anyway, as you guys can see up there. So anyway, She-Hulk and her lawyer friends confront Titania for using her name as a product, but Titania doesn't care and sues She-Hulk in order to gain more popularity for herself. However, She-Hulk wins the case as Titania swears revenge. This, of course, happens when She-Hulk attends her friend Lulu's wedding, as Titania then confronts She-Hulk as the two get into a fight with Titania then getting arrested again and defeated for good before one of the wedding attendees, Josh Miller, asks She-Hulk out on a date as the latter then says yes. Meanwhile, superhero costume designer Luke Jacobson, he's not a superhero, just designs costumes for superheroes, just saying, but whatever. He is seen designing a suit for a supervillain who goes by the name of Leapfrog. So in episode 6, a group of mutant superheroes known as the Great Lakes Avengers have been fighting crime in Michigan for the past few years and find themselves involved in a duel between Leapfrog and Daredevil. Following the duel, S.H.I.E.L.D. investigates this as it turns out they've been very suspicious and cautious of mutants for a very long time, and the Great Lakes Avengers are later put under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s custody. Daredevil, shocked that S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing this as he goes to California in order to seek out help from She-Hulk, who he believes is the only one to solve this conflict. The two team up and take on Leapfrog and his men before confronting Luke Jacobson as he and his tailor and assistant Tinsley are both arrested. The two are then assisted by Trish Walker, aka Hellcat, as they go to Michigan and confront S.H.I.E.L.D. and demand Captain Marvel help them free the Great Lakes Avengers, but when they don't, a fight ensues as Squirrel Girl's companion Monkey Joe is killed, although She-Hulk, Hellcat, and Daredevil are all assisted by the Michigan state government, with them successfully freeing the Great Lakes Avengers, who thank the two for their help and also for defeating Leapfrog as well. The Wrecking Crew are revealed to be working with Josh Miller, as the two have been manipulating S.H.I.E.L.D. so that they can take her blood in order to create an army of Hulks to start a rampage throughout Los Angeles. Anyway, in episode 7, we continue with the story as the Wrecking Crew and Josh Miller are both working for Todd Phelps, aka Hulk King. They want to help him with his rampage throughout Los Angeles. However, things get worse when they are revealed to be in contact with the Bombastay, as S.H.I.E.L.D. and her allies investigate this after Daredevil returns to New York City. Pug and Dennis Bukowski, who are one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s lawyer friends, infiltrate a party that is being held by a Bombastay in which Todd Phelps and his crew are attending, as S.H.I.E.L.D. then confronts Josh Miller, although a bunch of villains such as Timothy Wilkinson, aka Prodigy, Josh Keaton, aka Old Man Hulk, Runa, Captain Rackitude, and Abominatrix arrive as a big fight then ensues. So yeah, obviously these villains are working with Todd Phelps, aka Hulk King. So with the big fight, She-Hulk, her friends, Hellcat, Abomination, Blonde Phantom, and Wonder Man fight Todd Phelps and his crew, with them having successfully stolen some of not only She-Hulk's blood, but also the blood of Abomination and many other Hulks in the past. Although once the bad guys are proven to be too much for She-Hulk and her allies, they escape to places unknown. Now, this episode focuses on S.H.I.E.L.D. as she is now on the run with her friends, and they run into Johnny Storm, who's still searching for the Fantastic Four and their allies, obviously the Future Foundation. Anyway, S.H.I.E.L.D. orders her friends to find the Future Foundation for Johnny and set up a reunion. Johnny Storm reunites with all of his friends, who have thought him to be dead for a while. S.H.I.E.L.D. convinces the public to change their opinions on the Fantastic Four, as they are now no longer seen as bad guys, with the Future Foundation continuing to be the Fantastic Four's main company, while She-Hulk returns to LA and is attacked by the Wrecking Crew once again. Now, sorry about that. Now, the Wrecking Crew are trying to kill She-Hulk for her blood. Amadeus Cho is reunited with the Bombastay as they team up and defeat the Wrecking Crew before saving She-Hulk's life. They tell She-Hulk that one of Bruce's old friends, Beta Ray Bill, and the Corbinites have arrived on Earth, and they reunite with Bruce Banner as well, with him still in Mexico. Todd Phelps and Prodigy, however, arrive, although they are later defeated, as She-Hulk then heads into space with Amadeus Cho, Bombastay, Bruce, Beta Ray Bill, and the Corbinites after leaving her friends. Anyway, She-Hulk and her Hulk allies, and including Beta Ray Bill and the Corbinites, arrive on Sakaar in a very emotional scene. Bruce, Beta Ray Bill, and the Corbinites reunite with Scar on Sakaar and decide to stay there and accept it as their new home for good. And they also reunite the native species there as well. In the end, She-Hulk is joined by her lawyer friends Hellcat, the Future Foundation, including Riot Wingfoot as well, who's now dating She-Hulk after she had broken up with Daredevil. And also She-Hulk is joined by her family as well. Everyone celebrates the next chapter of She-Hulk's life, with her deciding to continue her lawyer career, as both Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk, while Amethyst Cho joins Obama's Day, who are now working with Wonder Man. He's sort of a member of Obama's State as well, and they all vow to defend Los Angeles at all costs, since the West Coast Avengers have now disbanded for good. And anyway, guys, this is the full cast of the TV show, sorry. Full cast. Now, this might be a little bit of an inappropriate scene, but anyway, She-Hulk twerks with Megan Thee Stallion, as the latter is now She-Hulk's new client. S.H.I.E.L.D. are now persecuting the Great Lakes Avengers, thus launching their own campaign against mutant kind. Now I know I did the whole credits scenes out of order, but it's fine. And these are all the characters who die. So the 8th project is Legion of Morbius. Not Morbius, sorry. Chapter 8, The Legion of Monsters. And now it is Morbin time. Well, sort of. Yes, Morbius, he is in this project. Anyway, I may have forgot to mention that Chapter 8 is titled, Phase 9 is titled The Legion of Monsters, but whatever. Anyway, though, for centuries, Ulysses, the plot is about this. So for centuries, Ulysses Bloodstone has been secretly leading a monster hunting cabal and has been fighting many monsters and other supernatural beings, such as Simon Garth, aka the Zombie, the demonic entity known as Krog, the two-headed mermaid, the Frankenstein monster, and even Bigfoot, with an ancient and powerful weapon called the Bloodstone. This has been used for centuries among the Bloodstone family, very traditional. However, everything changes when Ulysses Bloodstone suddenly dies as a funeral is later held for him. His death is unknown in this film. Special presentation, sorry. Anyway, Verussa Bloodstone, the wife of the late Ulysses Bloodstone, is now taking leadership of the monster hunting cabal and challenges all the monster hunters within the cabal to gain possession of the Bloodstone, as they will need to fight many monsters in order to obtain the Bloodstone, which will be attached to the monster, weaken it, and later on they can continue weakening it, and later on they can which will weaken the monster, and later on they can continue the legacy of Ulysses Bloodstone and all of the Bloodstone ancestors as well. Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night, then arrives with Elsa Bloodstone, as they have arrived in order to take the Bloodstone for themselves and rescue Man-Thing from captivity. He has been held hostage by the monster hunting cabal ever since Ulysses' death, and also taken from New Orleans. As the challenge begins, Jack and Elsa are caught by a few of the monster hunters as they try to rescue Man-Thing, with them now escaping after liberating Man-Thing, before they run into a group of monsters, and Encanto, Amphibian, and Morbius, who have now Encanto, the living mummy, Amphibian, and Morbius, who have had a long history with the monster hunting cabal after many of their men had died thanks to the cabal, as they decided to team up. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Verussa is watching the whole conflict as she contacts Marduk Kurios, a fake Satan who is the father of Satana and Damon Hellstrom, as he also had killed his ex-wife Victoria, who was a normal human, after she discovered that Satana was performing a demonic ritual. It turns out Verussa is planning to kill Marduk, and in order to defend their fathers, Satana and Damon attack Verussa, although they are held hostage as well. The two, however, escape and team up with Jack, Elsa, Living Mummy, and Encanto, Encanto the Living Mummy, Amphibian, Morbius, and Man-Thing. They form the Legion of Monsters and take on the monster hunting cabal. Marduk is killed by Verussa while the team confront the guards, and Elsa fights Verussa after finding the Bloodstone before Man-Thing eats her. Encanto and Amphibian sacrifice themselves so that the rest of the bad guys can be defeated for good, with Elsa calming down Jack, who has now embraced his darker side as Werewolf by Night. In the end, Elsa now has the Bloodstone as she reforms the monster hunting cabal, with her as leader and of the remnants of the old version, with new members now included as well. The team part ways with Satana and Damon as they decide to rebel against Mephisto, and lastly, Jack and Ted are in a forest in New Orleans as they hang out and worry about Elsa's safety before vowing to find her. This right here is the full cast for the special presentation. I don't know if you guys can see it, but whatever. In the mid-credit scene, Morbius arrives in the vampire nation known as Vampirisk as he vows to find Blade, although he's hunted and chased down by government officials. This will set up a potential storyline with Morbius versus Blade in Vampirisk, obviously. In the post-credit scene, Satana and Damon learn of Mephisto's plan to turn Earth into hell and realize that they need lots of help in order to stop him once and for all. And also, pretty long death list, but there it is. And now, Chapter 9 is the Midnight Suns. Chapter 9 of Phase 9, of course. Sorry about all this noise in the background. But anyway, so in the plot, we start off with Blade, Mead, and Ghost Rider, and they both realize all this supernatural stuff has been built up to Mephisto, who wants to invade Earth and turn it into hell so that he can expand the realm of Helm. However, it turns out Mephisto and Lilith are spying on Blade and Ghost Rider and send a large army of demon children known as the Lilith to confront Blade and Ghost Rider in the name of revenge. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange and Clea are now dating as we learn more of Strange's power, as he's become more powerful than ever, and although he's still grieving over his sister's death and his very own past, he's still happy with Clea, but everything changes when the demon children attack Kamar-Taj, as Strange realizes that they are being led by Lilith, and in order to stop her, Strange decides to team up with Clea, Brother Voodoo, Daredevil, and the Punisher, while Blade and Ghost Rider are met with Black Knight, Satana, and Damon, who reveal that Mephisto and Lilith are leading a large army of demon children on Earth, as they also notice the reconstruction of the Midland Circle building in New York City, but they don't care. Anyway, Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab, who is now wielding the Staff of Ammit with permission from Todd White and the Unit Council, are approached by Strange and his allies after defeating Jake Lockley, aka the Shadow Knight, as they decide to work together to take down Mephisto for good, while Jack and Ted, who are searching for Elsa Bloodstone, find the entire monster hunting cabal slaughtered by the demon children, which leaves them in shock as the Midnight Suns team is officially formed after Jack and Ted find Elsa amidst Satana and Damon confronts Mephisto once again. However, Werewolf by Night fights Moon Knight after the team is formed, but they stop fighting when Lilith and her forces approach them as a fight ensues before Richard Sheridan, who has now become the new Mr. Sleepwalker after taking control of the race, well, sort of, arrives with the Spirit of Vengeance team to save the day, but Satana is killed, which leaves Damon very mad as he vows revenge. The team learn that Mephisto is going to launch his final campaign at Hotel Inferno in Los Angeles as they head there with Clea summoning the mindless ones of the Dark Dimension onto the Earth in order to help with defeating Mephisto and Lilith for good. The Midnight Suns team, Spirit of Vengeance, Richard Sheridan, and the Sleepwalkers and all the team's allies are now using 0.0001% of the One Above All's power as they fight Mephisto and his allies, with Damon dying and Michael aka Vengeance, have the change of heart, so he sort of redeemed himself. But anyway, in the end, the bad guys were all defeated as the Midnight Suns save the day and successfully prevent Mephisto from conquering Earth. The team part ways in order to embrace new journeys for themselves in the future. What a happy ending, right? This is the full cast for the film, as you guys can all see right here. Now, in the mid-credit scene, Strange and Clea are now getting married, with Strange remaining as Sorcerer Supreme and Clea as Sorcerer Supreme, as the latter has now abandoned the Mindless Ones and the Dark Dimension in order to be with Strange. And then, in the post-credit scene, Dane Whitman returns to London as he reunites with and later joins the Eternals. And this right here is the full death list. So the penultimate project in Phase 9 and overall the Mutant Saga is titled X-Men vs. Avengers. Chapter 10, obviously. Now, the plot of the film is probably the longest yet, and after the events of World War Hulk, the Avengers have now reformed, with them now getting suspicious and cautious of mutants, although they are unexpectedly approached by the Shi'ar Empire. who have arrived to Earth in order to warn everyone about the Phoenix Force as the enemy is about to invade Earth after destroying many galaxies. This leaves the Avengers stunned as they realize that they need to defeat Phoenix Force, however they can't do it by themselves. Mutants have now been facing the most hatred ever, and also lots of persecution, sometimes even extermination, as well after the Genosha genocide, aka the decimation, with 16 million mutants killed, thus decreasing the mutant population to now 14 million, while Krakoa and Savage Land now serve as X-Men bases, along with the X-Mansion in Westchester and as highly advanced civilizations as well. On Krakoa, the X-Men are working with the new generation X-Men as they are approached by the Avengers and Future Foundation, who warn them of the Phoenix Force, as they believe it is trying to use Jean Grey as a host in order to destroy humanity. However, the X-Men argue with the Avengers, with them believing that the Phoenix Force can start a better and safer future for all mutants and humans alike. Anyway, after Jean Grey is kidnapped and a brief fight with the Avengers, the X-Men escape Krakoa and liberate the Brotherhood of Mutants, including former members of the Morlocks as well, from prison, as they decide to team up and are now reunited with Mystique, who is now permanently human, although has advanced technological skills thanks to the X-Men's help. Anyway, the Fantastic Four attack Colossus, Omega Red, and they now redeem Mikhail Rasputin, causes lots of drama and conflict within the mutant community, amidst Graydon Creed working with the Russian government, and they continuously hunt down mutants 24/7. Jean Grey is turned into the Dark Phoenix as a part of an ancient prophecy by Fabian Cortez. According to Fabian Cortez and the Acolytes, with them using their mutant powers to turn the Phoenix Force into a force of evil instead of good, while Professor X tries to find the X-Men as he's now back on Earth with him arguing with the Shi'ar Empire, who he has very long history with after leaving Earth in the 80s to travel the cosmos. Anyway, though, he argues with the Shi'ar Empire about the Phoenix Force, including its powers, which involves other universes, M'Kraan Crystal, True Nature, and obviously more about the Shi'ar Empire invading Earth, and what about the Starjammers? Anyway, the Shi'ar betrayed Charles, which leads him to reunite with the X-Men and their allies, but he's then killed by the Dark Phoenix before the Avengers arrive and arrest both sides. They are taken to Graydon Creed, who reveals that the High Evolutionary was a Sentinel mutant hybrid all along, and that he orchestrated the human-mutant war, used Fabian Cortez and the Acolytes to turn the Phoenix Force evil so that he can kidnap Jean Grey and possess her with the Phoenix Force in order to turn the Avengers against the X-Men and destroy all of mutant kind for good, with the help of many humans who hate mutants and also a lot of anti-mutant groups as well. So basically Graydon Creed is the mastermind. Anyway, though, while all this chaos is still happening, Graydon Creed gives Bolivar Trask and the Headmaster one final chance to defeat mutants for good, despite there being no more Essex Corporation, although Namor and Lady Dorma killed both of them as they start their own rampage after fighting an army of Hulks and many superheroes in Los Angeles. The Avengers and their allies confront the X-Men, including their allies as well, such as the now liberated Great Lakes Avengers, Starjammers, Black Knight, and the Eternals. Namor goes crazy, however, which leads him destroying Wakanda and causing lots of deaths as well. However, Dark Phoenix takes this to her own advantage as she begins to gain more power, as we ultimately learn more about Jean's origin, with her mutant powers exposed when she was 8, which caused the death of her parents and then forced her into adoption, while in the present day, the X-Men and their allies realize that the only way to defeat Jean is banish the Phoenix Force from Earth. The big final battle begins, as the X-Men, who are now joined by the Brotherhood, New Generation X-Men, Great Lakes Avengers, Eternals, and Starjammers, fight the Avengers, who are joined by Future Foundation, Abomination, and S.H.I.E.L.D. Graydon Creed, however, betrays the Shi'ar Empire, although they team up with the Acolytes before defeating Graydon, and later taking on Jean as the mutants call a truce with the humans in order to save Jean, defeat the Shi'ar Empire and the Acolytes, and banish the Phoenix Force from Earth. However, things take a quick turn when both Gambit and Tony Stark die, as Cyclops is forced to kill Jean in order to banish the Phoenix Force from Earth, as the Shi'ar Empire and the Acolytes are finally defeated for good. In a very emotional and personal end that I almost cried to, everyone loses as the X-Men and Avengers make peace, although disband, which means that the world no longer has any superheroes to look up to, as everyone is left with an uncertain future, while Magneto and the Brotherhood stay on Krakoa and take over the nation in order to make it a safe home for all mutants, while Uatu the Watcher narrates as he narrates a claim of his that he made. He says that Jean Grey could have lived to become a god, but it was more important that she died a human. Now, anyway, though, despite all the characters go in their own ways and no superhero teams, there's barely any superhero teams, but whatever, on Earth, obviously. Anyway, though, right now, I don't have the full cast ready. However, I will try to have it ready either later today, tomorrow, or Monday. Anyway, though, I'll probably post it on, the community post, so Anyway, though, these are the full character list in the film. basically right now we got the protagonist and the villains as well. Don't mind the background noises again. Morgan Stark, she really isn't the villain, but she's sort of on the villain side. That's why I put her there. Still, whatever. Anyway, though, in the mid-credit scene, in ancient Egypt, a group known as Clan Aqaba planned to overthrow the pharaoh, which also known as ruler of ancient Egypt, who is known only as Ramatut. In the post-credits scene, a group of mutant children are seen again experimented on by a mysterious scientific organization known as Alkali Transigen. Not really that long of a death list as I kind of expected, but whatever. Anyway, this is the full list of characters who die in the film. Yes, pretty sad deaths, but oh well. Still, it's kind of sad. Sorry about the noises anyway, but whatever. And the final project of Phase 9 and the Mutant Saga overall is titled X-Men Old Man Logan. This project, of course, is kind of cool. Well, pretty crazy, but violent. But anyway, though, in Canada, a powerful test subject of Alkali Transigen, a scientific organization who seeks to control and enslave all mutants. The test subject's name is Michael Porter, aka the Collective. He is a normal human who has the power to absorb energy, abilities, and the personalities of mutants. Well, he really isn't a normal human. He's kind of a mutant. I just said that because I'm stupid. But anyway, though, he kills mutants under orders from Alkali Transition, who rebel against the organization, and he is sent to kill the Alpha Flight team, in which he succeeds at, amidst both Deadpool and Wolverine already allied with the team after meeting with them. 5 years after the events of X-Men vs. Avengers, the Canadian government has now been paranoid over the deaths of the Alpha Flight, which causes them to form a hatred towards mutant kind, while no mutants have not been born since... Well, mutants have not been born since 2036. I'm supposed to say that, but whatever. Since Alkali Transition don't know how to pronounce it, but whatever, has now been able to suppress the X gene. And Wolverine is now aging, which means that his healing factor is starting to slow down, despite him now living in El Paso, Texas. As a limousine driver, he then runs into X-25, a clone of Caliban who used to hunt down the remaining mutants for Alkali Transition, but left after learning that they have been trying to control and enslave all mutants. All the remaining mutants, obviously. There's around 14 million. Anyway, the two then investigate the transition facility in Mexico City, Mexico, with the main headquarters which consists of the main headquarters of Alkali Transition and Project X-23, a project created by Alkali Transition that is used to control and eventually enslave all mutant kind. However, they are attacked by Dakin, a mutant assassin who's under the control of Alkali Transition and a member of the Reapers, which is Alkali Transition's mutant hunt and assassin group. The two, however, Logan and Caliban, obviously are rescued by nurse Gabriela Lopez, who used to work for Alkali Transition, and the guardian of Laura Kinney, aka X-23, and reveals to Wolverine that she rescued X-23 and all the children at the facility, as Dakin is Wolverine's son, as Wolverine met a Japanese woman named Itsu in 1946 Japan, as the two have a baby named Akihiro, who would later become Dakin, although the Winter Soldier kills Itsu after Akihiro's birth, which forces Wolverine to abandon his baby by sending him to Mexico. Wolverine realizes all of this in the present day, with him now regretting it, as he also realizes that he will need to send X-23 and the children to Canada. Sorry about that, and the children to Canada with help from Caliban. Although during the mission, the kids escape from Wolverine and Caliban, as Wolverine finds Gabriella dead in El Paso before he is confronted by the Reavers, which consists of head of security Donald Pierce, Dakin, and the Collective. A fight ensues after Wolverine learns from Donald Pierce and Dale Rice that Dale Rice, creator of Alkali Transition, the father of Xander Rice, he had raised a fight ensues after Wolverine learns from Donald Pierce of Dale Rice, creator of Alkali Transition and the father of Xander Rice, as a fight ensues, although Wolverine learns from Donald Pierce of Dale Rice, creator of Alkali Transition, and the father of Xander Rice, as he had raised Dakin since he was a kid and turned him into this deadly assassin. Although Wolverine killed him in the 70s, doesn't really remember it since he's old age, and Pierce also reveals that he killed Gabrielle in order to kidnap X-23 and the children. Luckily, Wolverine escapes, although Caliban is taken back to the facility in Mexico City. He is then killed by Dale Rice's son, Xander Rice, as I just mentioned earlier, after he refused to reveal where X-23 and the children are. Wolverine heads to Oklahoma as we learn that Alkali Transition is not only planning on controlling and enslaving all mutants, but also trying to kill Wolverine after the death of Dale Rice. Wolverine, however, meets the Munson family after helping them deal with a traffic incident in Oklahoma City. As he peacefully eats dinner with them, but then Xander Rice unleashes X-24, a powerful clone of Wolverine, and also creates Alkali Transition's ultimate weapon. X-24 then kills the Munson family before chasing after Wolverine, who then escapes. Despite Alkali Transition and the Reavers continuously hunting down Wolverine and all the Project X-23 children, Wolverine arrives in North Dakota as he learns about the mutant rights movement. Surviving mutants are fighting for equality and peace after the events of Avengers vs. X-Men, as mutant discrimination continues to be a problem, and he also meets the Project X-23 children, as they are trying to cross the American-Canadian border in order to start new lives for themselves, despite the Canadian government on the hunt for all mutants. Although Wolverine decides not to help the children decides to help the children, fight them, and kill many Reavers, including the Collective, while Wolverine confronts Xander Rice before killing him and his men, as Wolverine then confronts his son Dakin, as the latter reveals that he's seeking to kill Wolverine for abandoning him. Wolverine apologizes, but he's forced to kill Dakin in order to protect the X-23 children, who could then combine their powers in order to kill Pierce and the remaining Reavers. In the end, X-23 fights Wolverine, however, though he sacrifices himself. However, Wolverine is then killed by X-24 as he sacrifices himself so that the children can get to safety, and before he dies, Wolverine tells X-23 to not become the weapon that she was made to be, as Wolverine then peacefully dies. X-23 and the children then kill X-24 and successfully escape to Canada after burying Wolverine, while the Canadian government exposes the existence of Alkali Transition and the Reavers. So this right here is the full cast of the film. In the mid-credits scene, Deadpool visits Wolverine/Logan's grave in North Dakota. I don't know if I should call him Wolverine or Logan, but whatever. Well, Wolverine, obviously. Although Deadpool is then approached by a bunch of agents who work for a mysterious organization known only as the Time Variance Authority, aka the TVA. In the post-credits scene, X-23 and the children are now in Saskatchewan, Canada, as they're now living peacefully, as they learn that the X gene has no longer been suppressed, which means that mutants can finally be born again. Anyway, though, guys, this is the full death list for the film. Very sad that the Alpha Flight has to die, but it's necessary for the story. Yeah. And that is it for Phase 9 of TMCU. Also, guys, this is the longest video that I will ever make for TMCU. Yes, I know, I apologize for this video being very long. However, though, Phase 9 is pretty long, pretty stacked. Anyway, though, that is it for Phase 9 and the Mutant Saga. I will see you guys for Phase 10, which is the first phase of the final saga, the Multiverse Saga. And yeah, peace out now.